Kat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about our superhero movies. This is the third one of 4, and this is one of Jess's favorites.
Yeah.
It's Iron Man. It's an action-adventure sci-fi film from 2008 and has a 7.9 on 833,441 votes. So, the spoiler-free synopsis: a billionaire, industrialist, and genius inventor, Tony Stark, is conducting weapons tests overseas, but terrorists kidnap him to force him to build a devastating weapon. Instead, he builds an armored suit and upends his captors. Returning to America, Stark refines the suit and uses it to combat crime and terrorism.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Alright, so this is directed... God, I always mess up his last name. Jon Favreau?
Yeah, I see Favreau or Favreau, one of those two.
One of the two. Apologies. Not great with names. So, he directed this one, the second Iron Man 2, Elf, which we did for our holiday ones.
Yeah, that's funny.
And he directed the new Lion King movie coming out.
Oh. And,
I thought you'd be interested in that one.
yeah, that is interesting.
So we shall see. See how it goes. He's got some decent films, so we'll see. And this stars Robert Downey Jr., Terrence Howard, and Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. And, because we did mention the creator of Batman in our last episode, I do want to take a minute and recognize Stan Lee, who did pass away a couple months ago. Created Iron Man. Just everything in Marvel. You know. It was a sad day when he passed away. But it's great to see him. Even, like, he lives on through all of his characters and all of his fans and everything he's done, so.
Miss you, Stan.
Yeah. So, Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. The Metacritic score for this is a 79. The average rating on Rotten Tomatoes is a 7.7. It is a very positive on the tomato meter with a 93%. 274 critics reviewed it. 256 were fresh. 18 were rotten. So 2 of the fresh. Craig Othar, led by Downey's career-resurrecting performance as billionaire weapons peddler Tony Stark, it proves just as indispensable to the movie's giddy escapist appeal as the seamless CGI effects and eye-popping prosthetics. Yeah.
Is that pyrotechnics?
Oh, I thought it said prosthetics. I definitely read that wrong. So yeah, the prosthetics are good for what there's like very few of them, but yeah, they were good. So yeah, pyrotechnics makes more sense.
Okay. I'm like, I swear I'm reading this right.
Yeah, I read that wrong. Okay. J.R. Jones, Robert Downey Jr. gives a nicely sardonic performance as Tony Stark, a rich playboy and the brilliant heir to his father's weapons manufacturing dynasty.
It makes sense.
Literally all of these are about Robert Downey Jr.
Well, he is Iron Man, so...
So, the 2 rotten. Deborah Ross. I like Downey Jr. usually with his dark, wounded eyes, but here his performance veers between going through the motions and looking... and a look which seems to say, hey, what film am I doing again? That's kind of funny.
What?
That's kind of funny. J.P. McCarthy, or John P. McCarthy. Downey acquits himself well enough during the action sequences in Iron Man, but there just aren't enough of them, and the existing ones could use a boost. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think I can agree with that either.
Okay, so the consensus. Powered by Robert Downey Jr.'s vibrant charm, Iron Man turbocharges the superhero genre with a deft intelligence and infectious sense of fun. Yeah?
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, the income for this movie. The budget was $140 million. It made in the U.S. $318,412,101. Internationally, it made $266,762,121. So worldwide, it was a total of $585,174,222. Opening weekend, it made $98,618,668, and it opened in 4,105 theaters. Its all-time domestic rank is number 65. Its highest all-time rank, it hit on July 27th, 2008, which is 2 months after it came out. It hit number 21. So, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, it was nominated for 2 Oscars, but it did not win any. It did win 20 other awards and had 65 other nominations. This very first award, I think, is my favorite of all time.
Ha!
So, it is the AARP Movies for Grown-Ups Award, and it won Best Movie for Grown-Ups Who Refuse to Grow Up. I was like, that fits me perfectly.
Love it. It makes sense.
It does. It's so funny. Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. Best Science Fiction Film, Best Actor, and Best Director. The AFI Awards. It won Movie of the Year. African American Film Critics Association, Top 10 Films. It got 10th place. ASCAP Film and Television Music Awards. Top Box Office Films for the Composer. Central Ohio Film Critics Association Actor of the Year. He won for Iron Man and Tropic Thunder. Golden Schmoes Awards. Best Sci-Fi Movie of the Year. Biggest Surprise of the Year. Golden Trailer, Summer 2008 Blockbuster. Hollywood Film Awards, Visual Effects of the Year. Hollywood Post Alliance, Outstanding Color Grading Feature Film in a DI Process. Now, that was a long one. Irish Film and Television Awards, Best International Actor. Las Vegas Film Critics Society Awards, Best Visual Effects. MTV Movie and TV Awards. Best Summer Movie so far.
What?
So far.
So far, okay.
Satellite Awards, Best Film Editing. Best DVD Extras for the 2-disc Collector's Edition. World Stunt Awards, Best Fire Stunts. For when the when Iron Man attacks the soldiers with the flamethrower, and when he's testing the boots and does a flip backwards.
Oh,
those are the two stunts that they gave those fire awards for.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, initial thoughts. What do you think?
I actually remember the first time I watched this.
Really?
I do. It's quite clear in my head. So, I actually watched this for the first time at the drive-in.
Oh, okay.
And I watched it with a good friend of mine. He's a huge, huge Iron Man fan. And he's like, come on, we gotta go see this. And I was like, okay. So, we went to see the drive-in, and I loved it. I did. I absolutely loved it. Part of the reason why I love it is because I'm also a big Jeff Bridges fan.
Okay.
And he's amazing. But
yeah.
I just love him in everything he does, so. And this really got me into Marvel, actually.
Yeah. I don't remember the first time I watched it, but I do remember that I liked it a lot. And I liked it a lot because Iron Man reminded me a lot of Batman. And Iron Man was the answer to DC's Batman, so. And Iron Man is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I know a lot of people hate him because they're like, oh, he's worthless. And
I love Iron Man.
Like, I love Iron Man. Like, he's funny and he's an asshole, so it's great. But yeah, I love it. I watch it all the time. I don't really have a problem with any of the Iron Man movies. I know some of them are not as good as the other ones, but, you know, I like them all, so.
Are you talking about the third one?
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I mean, I like it, but it's not as good as this one.
No. This one, I believe, and I just think that Robert Downey Jr. does such a good job playing Tony Stark.
He does.
That you forget that he's acting.
That's, I think, why I like it so much and why I think he's perfect for it. Because, like you said, there's times when you're like, oh, that's not Robert Downey Jr., that really is Tony Stark.
That is Tony Stark. You're like, so are they one and the same person?
It seems like it sometimes.
It does. I've always made that joke. It's like, Robert Downey Jr. is just Tony Stark. That's it. He's perfect for it.
Yeah.
It's great casting.
It really was.
And
this role really did save his career.
Oh, I know, because he was a mess before this.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, what? He'd been, like, doing drugs and all of this other things, so.
Yeah.
He was a mess.
Yeah.
But this totally helped him, and now look at him.
Yeah. One of the most highest paid people in the world.
Exactly.
Just because of Avengers.
Iron Man in particular.
Yes. Alright. I think that's all I've got for my initial thoughts.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So we start off with some Humvees driving along a road in Afghanistan.
Yeah, in the desert.
Yep, in the desert. Tony is in one of them. And
he's being Tony.
Yeah, he's just kind of messing with the army people and messing with the girl. He didn't know it was a girl at first until she started talking and all this and that. One of them wants to take a picture and, you know, and then there is a, like, bomb or one of the cars.
It's like they're
blows
ambushed.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're under attack. And then, so there's just, like, the whole attack, and then Tony sees one of the bombs, and it's a Stark bomb. So it's one of the missiles that his company makes that he's being attacked with.
It's like, oh, great. And, of course, doesn't he get hurt, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, he does get hurt. You can see the blood, like, seeping through his shirt where the shrapnel went in him.
Yeah.
And then
he loses consciousness.
Yep. And then you see the video, like, his ransom video, kind of. And then it jumps to some guy is talking about Tony Stark's accomplishments. And Tony Stark is receiving an award, and his buddy Colonel Rhodes is presenting that award for him. But Tony isn't there to receive it.
So, of course, Jeff Bridges' character has to step in and accept it for him.
Obadiah. That's his business partner.
Yes.
Because Obadiah, he was his dad's business partner, but then once Tony became of age and his dad died, then Tony took over, and now him and Obadiah work together.
Yes. Of course, Tony's not there because he's doing other things.
He's at the casino.
Hell yeah, that's where I would be too.
Because they're in Vegas.
Of course.
It's a dumb spot to hold a awards ceremony if you want Tony Stark to show up.
Seriously. It's like, wrong place. Put it in someplace boring where he's not going to get distracted.
Yeah. But so, Rhodey hands him his award, and he says, "They told me if I give you an award, you'd be deeply honored." He's like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "I don't have one of these floating around." But so they're on their way out, and he's carrying his award, and he walks past there's somebody taking a picture with Julius Caesar, and he hands the award to Caesar. I'm like, oh my god.
Like, zero. Big
Yeah,
fat zero fucks given.
Yeah, he doesn't care at all. So he's heading out to his car, and Christine, a reporter from Vanity Fair, comes up to him and starts asking questions. But he, is still facing the car, and his, I guess, I don't know what his name is, Happy Hogan, that's his name. He, says that she's an acceptable looking woman. So Tony turns around and talks to her.
Of course. And pulls his sweet moves.
Yeah. And she's asking about, his weapons and stuff, and how he's, the harbinger of death and all this and that. And he's like, yeah, I actually quite like that.
He's like, huh. It's a nice kid. It's a nice name.
Yeah. But, so they sleep together.
Of course, because it's Tony Stark.
It is. And then it's the next morning, and he's not in there, of course.
Of course.
He's off doing something else. But she wakes up, and she's, going and looking for him, and she's walking around. And instead of finding Tony, she finds Miss Potts, which is
Pepper.
Basically his personal assistant.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. And she has Christine's clothes for her. They've been dry cleaned and everything, so she sends her on her way.
She's used to this, I'm guessing. Does it all the time.
Yeah. But then we jump to Tony, and he's downstairs working on something in his garage workshop thing. Pepper comes in, and he's supposed to have left already.
Yes.
He's supposed to be halfway around the world, she says, and he still hasn't left. And so she's trying to get him to leave. And he's like, well, do you have plans? She's like, yeah, I have plans. I'm allowed to have them on my birthday. He goes, it's your birthday? And he's like, make sure you get yourself something nice for me. And she's like, oh, I already did.
She's like, I did.
She made sure.
She knows him too well.
Yeah. But so, they head out, and he's heading, and him and Happy are racing to the airport. Which, of course, Tony is in the sports car, so he's gonna win.
Of course.
And Rhodes is standing on the
runway.
Yeah, the runway on the stairs thingy.
Yeah, waiting for Tony, because, Tony's always late, and he's always having to wait for him.
Yeah, he said he'd been waiting there for 3 hours. Like, my butt would have left already.
Oh, I know, but
3 hours. I don't care if you're Tony Stark or not. My butt would have left.
But again, he knows him too well, so.
That's true. I would have just not showed up yet then if I knew him that well. Like, oh,
he's gonna be late.
I got time.
It's like, he's gonna be late. I got plenty of time.
Yeah, pulling Mr. Incredible. I got time.
Connecting. Love it.
So they get on the plane, and Tony orders a drink, of course. And he offers Rhodey one, but Rhodey's like, I'm not drinking. Like, this is a business trip, I'm not drinking. But they end up drinking.
Hell yeah, they do.
And he's got the flight attendants all dancing around half naked in his thing, and he's got a stripper pole and all kinds of stuff. So, just Tony.
Classic Stark.
Yeah. So, they arrive in Afghanistan for Tony's weapons presentation. He's presenting a new missile to the army.
The Jericho?
The Jericho missile. And this thing just, completely obliterates the side of this mountain. It is crazy. So they get done with the thing, and they're getting back in the Humvees, and Tony won't let Rhodey in his Humvee. He says this is the fun V. You go right in the humdrum V. But then it jumps back to the beginning, and we see...
he's in a cave.
And we see... We've learned why he was in Afghanistan, because you kind of are, like, wondering why he was in Afghanistan at the very beginning of the movie, but now you know.
You're like, oh, okay, there we go. Pieces together now.
Yeah. But yeah, then Tony wakes up in a cave, and he had just had surgery. You kind of see little snippets of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Having the surgery. But he is attached to a car battery.
And he's got this weird thing on his chest, too.
Yeah.
A round, glowing thing.
Yeah. And the guy that is in the cave with him says that is the only thing keeping him alive. That it is an electromagnet keeping the shrapnel from getting to his heart.
Yes, because he couldn't get all of it out.
Yeah. So the captors come in, and they're telling Tony that he needs to build the Jericho missile, or he won't be let go.
Yeah.
And Tony's like, no.
He's like,
I'm not building it.
He's like, oh, hell no. They torture him, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they do torture him. And then they take him out and show him all of the weapons of his that they have. Like, they have everything. They have every weapon that he's pretty much ever made. And says that they have everything that he needs to build the missile, and that if he builds the missile, that he'll let him go.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, they won't. But he pretends that he decides to build it anyway.
He's gonna go along with their plans, air quotes.
Yeah. So instead of building the missile, he works on building basically a new contraption to put in his chest. It's a mini arc reactor. And he says that he has a bigger one at home. And then he also shows the guy that is in the cave with him his, like, rough sketch thing for the Iron Man suit. The Mach 1 Iron Man suit. The big, bulky one. And every now and then you see the captors, like, come and check on him or watching the cameras and stuff. So they think that he's actually working.
They think that.
He's not. I mean, he is working, just not on what they want him to be working on.
Yeah.
Tony and the guy that he's in there with, I don't ever know his name.
It's like there's a doctor, and I think it's Jensen or something.
Yeah, Dr. something. But when they're about ready to escape, they have this whole plan worked out. They've got a bomb on the door, and they're strapping Tony into the suit. And the guys, some of the captors come and talk to him because they haven't seen Tony in a minute because he's getting strapped into the suit. But they've got the program running for the suit to be started, and Dr. what's his butt?
Jensen,
that's it. Dr. Jensen doesn't know Hungarian. And that's what the guy's talking to him in. So he's, like, trying to answer him. He's like, I don't know how to answer him. But then they open the door. And so the bomb goes off. And they still need a little bit more time for the program to run. So Dr. Jensen picks up a gun and, like, runs after all those other people. And, like, starts shooting and everything. And
gives him more time.
Yeah, buys some time. And he gets shot. He does end up dying. Very quickly after he does that. But this does give Tony enough time for the suit to be ready. And he's, like, making his way out and knocking people out. There's one guy, he, like, comes up behind Tony in the suit and shoots the head of it, but then he ricochets and hits him in the head.
Yeah.
It's so funny. This whole little fight scene here. But then Tony comes out and he finds Dr. Jensen and he talks to him, and he admits that his family was dead and that now he gets to go see his family.
Yeah. That was his whole plan. He was just going to sacrifice himself.
Yeah, the whole story that he had told Tony earlier was to get Tony motivated to get out of the cave. Which, I mean, it worked.
It did.
So. But, Tony...
He's going through trying to take everybody out.
Yeah, he just is so mad because they killed the doctor, and that doctor saved his life, so he's just, like, super upset. But then, he takes them all out, and then he flies away, and he kind of lands in the sand, but not really. He's, like, crash lands.
Yeah. Crash lands and has to take off the suit.
Yeah. Well, it kind of just falls apart on him when he crashed. It just all kind of fell off. There's still bits and pieces of it, but, you know.
Which is important.
Yeah. So he's making his way across the desert, and you see some choppers come up behind him, and the army found him.
Yeah. And Rhodey
My
there,
guess
too.
is when he, like, went out and was doing that fire stuff with the suit and making all that stuff explode, that's when they found him, because they could track that big of an explosion happening.
Oh, yeah,
and they're like,
definitely.
Oh, that has to be where he's at. So, Rhodey comes up to him and says, next time you're riding with me. Because Rhodey obviously got away, so...
Yeah. He's probably upset, you know? It's like, oh man, where's my friend?
Yeah.
Pain in the ass, but I still like him.
Yeah. So, they get back to America, and Pepper is so happy to see him. She's, like, crying. She's, like... He's, like, kind of jabbing at her, making fun, that she's been crying, and she's like, I hate job hunting. Because that's their banter. They just kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, and she's so upset. She's like, you need to go to the doctor, you know, you're just...
Yeah, and he's like, no, I want a cheeseburger, and I want to hold a press conference.
Yep. And I love how he's eating the cheeseburger during the conference.
Yeah, he is. So Phil from S.H.I.E.L.D., at this point, the Strategic Homeland blah-de-blah-de-blah.
Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistic Division. Holy shit, that's a long thing. That's why it's called S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. So he comes up and says that he needs to talk to Tony and debrief him about what happened in Afghanistan. And Pepper's like, well, we'll set up a meeting.
And it's like, not now. Not now.
So Tony has everybody sit down and be more comfortable at the press conference. And then he's talking about his dad and, like, how he never got to say goodbye and, like, his dad's legacy and all that. And then he says that he's shutting down the weapons division of Stark Industries. And everybody goes crazy.
It pisses some people off.
Yeah. And Obadiah's like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's post-traumatic stress. Like, this is not happening. But, then, next little bit, Obadiah and Tony are talking they're at the big arc reactor at, Stark Industries. And Obadiah wants to see the little one that's in his chest. And so he shows him. And he's like, we could make money off of that. He's like, no, this one's staying with me. This isn't, no. Like, we're not making money off of this.
No, definitely not. He's like, I kind of need it, but...
Yeah. And then there's the Mad Money report that Pepper is watching, which is the guy that's like the stockbroker guy that tells you what you should invest in and what you should not invest in. And he's like, sell on Stark Industries, a weapons manufacturing company that doesn't make weapons. Yeah, so... And then Tony calls Pepper and says that he needs help. So she goes down there, and he's like changing out the little arc reactor in his chest by himself.
Yeah, he made a more powerful one this time.
Yeah, he made one that could withstand... Because he already has the idea in his mind that he's going to make a new and improved suit.
Yeah.
So he has one... He just made one that was able to withstand that new suit and everything that he might want it to do. So Pepper is helping him. And she's, like, real nervous about helping him.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's, like, right next to his heart, so,
yeah.
I can see why she's nervous.
Yeah. So, she's, like, pulling the wire out, but he tells her not to pull out the magnet right as she pulls out the magnet.
It's like, he almost goes into, like, cardiac arrest. I'm like, good job, Pepper.
But they put the new one in, and she's like, well, what do you want me to do with this old one? She's like, it's just trash, just throw it away. And, but she doesn't. We do see it again later.
Yes, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good thing.
Yeah. So then we, see the next thing is Rhodey is teaching a little lesson. And, he's teaching guys about, flight school. He's just going through, like, teaching them. And Tony comes up and kind of interrupts him and is like kind of poking fun at him and telling the recruits to ask him about spring break in his judgment. And I just love that part. He's making fun of him.
I mean, that's what Tony does. Just talks a lot of shit. It's great.
Oh, he tells Rhodey that he's working on something big, but it's not for the military, it's just something for himself. And he kind of tells him about the suit. And then we see him working on the suit a little bit.
With Jarvis?
Yeah, with Jarvis. Jarvis is his computer.
Yes. It's voiced by Paul Bettany, who is very important later on in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. But then it jumps to Afghanistan, and you see all the people that were his captors out there looking for parts of the suit that Tony wore to escape.
The original Mark 1.
Yeah. So then we see some more of Tony working on the suit.
He's working on a flight system and all of that.
Yeah, he's...
Because, that failed pretty quickly
doing
in the desert.
The boot test and all that, and he flips over and everything. And then he's working on the arms, and then Pepper brings him something, and he's, like, working on one of the arms, and he makes it shoot, and he, like, flings himself into the wall. That's really funny. Pepper does bring him something down. It's just like a box that's wrapped up, but he doesn't open it yet. He's just working. And then he's sitting at the computer working on something, and he sees about the Tony Stark gala that's happening that night. And he's like, did we get an invitation to that? It's like, it's your own thing, and you didn't even get an invitation.
It's like, whoops.
But he decides to go anyways.
Yeah.
And, he has an interesting night, I would say. So he gets there and he's talking to Obadiah, and Obadiah is like shocked that he's there. He's like, what are you doing? Like, go away. And this is also where we see Stan Lee. This is his cameo. He's Hugh Hefner.
Yes,
which I think is so funny. But so he's talking to Obadiah, and Obadiah's like, why are you here? You need to go home. But then he sees Pepper, and he goes over and talks to Pepper, and they're dancing and stuff, and she's, like, real nervous. She's, like, nervous about what people are gonna think.
Yeah.
And then they go outside, and they almost kiss. But she stops it.
I know Agent...
Yeah, Coulson's
there, too, and he keeps asking about... wanting to hear about, his incident.
Yeah. And, like, debrief him on it and stuff.
And Tony's like, nah, go away.
And then, also... Oh, I accidentally skipped a part. Before he goes to the gala, Obadiah does come and tell him that he went to a board meeting and they want to cut Tony out of the board. They don't want him on it anymore. I did miss that little bit of a part.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because that comes in for this next little bit. So he goes outside and he's going to get a drink for him and Pepper, and the Vanity Fair chick Christine comes up and is like asking him about the weapons that he sent to Golmera, and he's like, I haven't sent any shipments.
He's like, I stopped that.
Yeah. She's like, well, this was taken like 3 days ago. And so he gets upset and he goes and talks to Obadiah about it.
Yeah.
And that's when Obadiah admits that he's the one that put the vote forward to take Tony off the board. Like, he's the one trying to cut Tony out.
Yeah. That's not very nice of him to start seeing more of his eviler side, as we'd say.
Yeah. So, then there's a news report. He sees the news report about the attacks in Golmera, and that's really close to where those guys held him captive. So it's the same terrorists that held him captive that are terrorizing Golmera.
Yes. Of course, that's a bit upsetting.
And he does go ahead and open that little gift from Pepper, and it's just like, it's his first little mini arc reactor. She put it in a little glass box with the thing around it that says proof that Tony Stark has a heart.
Ha. Huh.
Yeah.
That always made me giggle.
It's so funny.
It's her little joke.
Yeah. So, Tony is upset about the Golmera thing, so he takes the Mach 3 out, which is his newest suit, and it's painted red and gold.
Yeah.
He takes the Mach 3 out and goes to Golmera to stop the terrorists. And he, like, takes them on and everything, and the tank shoots him with one, like, shoots him with a bullet, and then he just shoots one tiny little missile at it, and it just blows up. Yeah. And so he takes care of that, and then the military's like trying to figure out what in the world just happened because they see there's activity there, but they're like, we weren't cleared to go in there, so they're trying to figure out who in the world did this.
Yeah.
So they call in Rhodes, and of course he calls Tony because he's like, that's really close to where Tony was found. And Tony's like, nope, not me, I'm driving in the canyon. And so then the fighter planes come up and they're like chasing him and shooting at him and everything. And then they lose him for a minute. And so Tony calls Rhodey back and he's like, okay, I lied, it's me. I'm in the suit.
He's like, get them off me.
Yeah. So he's hiding on the bottom of the plane. And the plane rolls and he's like rolling and he flies off and hits the other plane in the wing. And so that plane starts to go down and the pilot ejects, but the parachute doesn't come out. So Tony has to go save him and get the parachute to come out. And then he disappears. And Rhodey's like, what am I supposed to tell the press? Tony's like, just tell him it's a training exercise. That's what he always says, is tell him it's a training exercise.
It's always a training exercise. Always.
Yeah. So then he's back in the garage and he's got the robot thingies that put on the suit, trying to take it off, and Pepper walks in.
She's just like, really?
She's like, oh my god. And then we see Obadiah in Afghanistan with the guys that had captured Tony Stark. And he's like working with them.
Yes, he's the one who paid them to capture Tony.
Yeah. And he's upset because they let him get away. And the way they let him get away, he's just like, I don't understand how he was able to build this in a cave.
In a cave. Because it's Tony Stark and he's not smart.
Yeah. And he has some, like, noise thing. Like, it makes a really high-pitched noise that paralyzes you for, like, 15 minutes. And he uses it on the guy. And then he leaves. And he tells his little goons to kill all the bad guys.
Yeah. And he takes the Mark 1.
Yeah.
Armor and all that.
All the pieces that they had gathered. And I think he also takes the plans for it, too.
I think so.
So then we jump back to Tony and Pepper. And Tony is asking Pepper a favor to go to his office and basically get proof that Obadiah has been dealing under the table.
Yeah. So she needs to go get that.
Yeah. And Pepper is, like, really upset with him because she doesn't want to see him killed, and she thinks that that suit is going to get him killed. And so she's like, I'm not going to do this if you are going to be this person, like, be this superhero, because I don't want to see you die. And he's like, I just want to help people. I didn't realize what was happening under my own nose, and now I just want to turn it back and make it right. And so she feels bad, and she's like, okay, I guess I'll help you.
So she has to go into Obadiah's office to get the proof.
Yeah. And she finds out about Sector 16 and the ransom video to Obadiah, where they say that you didn't tell us that the target you hired us to kill was Tony Stark, and they're demanding more money. And while she's watching that video, Obadiah walks in.
Yep.
And she kind of hides what she's doing. And he knows what she's doing, but he can't just up and say it.
Yep, exactly.
So they're talking about Tony, and she's saying that he's good and everything. And she, like, is really hoping that the download got done. Because she just pulls the flash drive out. It's on the screensaver, so she has no idea if that download is done or not.
Oh, well.
But she pulls it out and leaves, and Obadiah goes over to the computer and sees that she got everything she wanted. On the way out, Pepper runs into Coulson, and she's like, oh, thank God.
She's like, you can have your interview now, let's go.
Yeah.
Using him pretty much as, like, a bodyguard.
Yeah, she's like, you're gonna have the interview of your life. So Obadiah goes to the scientists that are working on the arc reactor, and he's mad at them because he wants the arc reactor smaller, like the chest, like the Tony's chess piece, and they're like, it's impossible. And he's like, he built this when he was in a cave. How can you not do it? And then he goes, I'm not Tony Stark.
Obadiah goes to Tony's.
Yeah, that's it. I just write so small I can't see it.
He goes over there because he knows what he has to do. He has to take his arc reactor from him.
So that he can, because we don't know it quite yet, but Obadiah, from the pieces that he took from the guys in Afghanistan, he built a suit. Like a big suit. And so he needs the arc reactor to power it. So he needs to take Tony's.
Yes. And he talks with Tony, confronts him and everything, and he uses that paralyzing thing he has.
Yeah, the sound thing. And then he threatens Pepper and says that you shouldn't have brought Pepper into this. And then we see Pepper is calling to Lieutenant Rhodes for help because she knows something bad is happening. So she's trying to get some help. And then we see Tony heading down to his workshop because he knows that first version of the reactor is downstairs. The one that Pepper, like, pretty much framed for him.
Yes. Good thing she did that.
Yeah.
Because he'd be dead.
Yeah. And, so he can't get it because, like, he's basically dying without that reactor in his chest. So he can't reach it, but the little robot guy hands it to him. And then he smashes it on the ground to get it out, but he doesn't quite get it in his chest. And then it jumps to Obadiah for a minute, and we see Obadiah plugging in his suit and running the program to get it started. And then it jumps back to Tony again. And Rhodes shows up and helps him put the chess piece in and get going. And then Rhodes sees Tony put on the Mach 3, and he looks over at the Mach 2, and that's your first little hint of Iron Patriot / War Machine.
Yeah!
Because he says next time. And he really does do it. Like, he becomes Iron Patriot / War Machine. I mean, it's the same person, but they just changed the name of it. But yeah. So Pepper and the agents are going into Sector 16 to go arrest Obadiah, not knowing that Obadiah's suit is already functional.
Yeah, isn't it called the Ironmonger?
Yeah, Obadiah's suit is the Ironmonger. And then so Obadiah attacks them. Is like going after everything. Somehow, in heels, Pepper runs away.
In heels? That's just impressive.
We had this conversation about heels in La La Land, so
yes, we did.
Everyone knows my view. But she gets away somehow.
All of the rants that you had during La La Land.
Yes. So, Tony comes to the rescue and on like the freeway, because they're on the freeway now, is where Obadiah is.
Yeah.
He like breaks through the rubble and stuff, and he's like attacking cars on the freeway, and so they're fighting each other, and there's the one woman where Tony catches the van and then like sets it down, but she runs him over.
Yeah.
I love that part. It's so funny. And then we also see that Obadiah's suit can fly.
Yes.
He made it able to fly. So they're flying up into the atmosphere. Rhodes stops the military from going after them because he knows that they won't just get the Ironmonger, that they'll get Iron Man too. And they don't want that to happen. But so they're like flying up into the atmosphere. Like we saw this a little bit earlier with Tony's suit, the icing problem.
Yes.
So Tony had time to figure out how to solve that. And he asks Obadiah, he's like, what'd you do about the icing problem? He's like, what icing problem? So Ironmonger can't move. He's like trying to move and everything, but he can't. But Tony's power is running low because his chest piece wasn't built
for the Mark III.
Yeah, it wasn't built for that suit.
It's not strong enough.
No. So he's running low on power. But they're fighting and everything, and then he calls Pepper and asks her, he's like, I need you to blow up the arc reactor to blow him up. So when I give you the signal, blow up the arc reactor. During the fight between Ironmonger and Iron Man, Iron Man is able to pull out the tracking system of the Ironmonger suit. So Obadiah can't aim at Tony. And he's just shooting and can't even hit him because he can't find out where he's at. Because he's opened the chest piece, so he's like out and can see, but he can't get his suit to aim.
Yeah.
But so Pepper has the arc reactor ready to blow. And Tony's just telling her to blow it, even though he's right on top of it. And so she blows it, even though she doesn't want to. And it kills Obadiah, and he like falls into it. Now he's really dead.
Yeah, he really did.
He's like super dead. Because, there's a little bit dead, and then there's mostly dead, and then there's super dead. He's super dead.
Are we referencing Princess Bride now?
Yes, I was.
Yes. That's soon. Very soon.
Yeah. So the whole thing blows up, and Tony's chest piece comes back on. Because he got hit with that arc reactor, his chest piece just kind of went out because it had lost all its power, and then he got hit with that. But then it did absorb some of the power from the explosion of the arc reactor, so it comes back on. And then there is another press conference.
Everybody's talking about the two robots.
Yeah.
And he likes the name that reporters came up with.
Iron Man, yeah. He likes the name. It's kind of catchy. Coulson gives him an alibi, and he's like, you need to,
He's like, Iron Man's your bodyguard, right?
Yeah, that's what he's supposed to say. And so he goes out there, and he, like, starts giving the, fake alibi.
He's like, screw it.
He's like, yep, never mind, I'm Iron Man.
I'm Iron Man. He's like, peace, y'all.
Yep.
Love it.
And then that's the end. But of course, with Marvel movies, that's not really the end.
No, we learned this.
Yes.
You always gotta wait.
This is the first one we learned it with.
It
is the first one. Yeah, there is an end credits scene. And Tony is at home, and we meet Nick Fury, who is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson, who is also in The Incredibles. Boom.
Yes. As Frozone.
Oh, yeah. Comes to talk to him about the
Avengers Initiative, yep. Telling him he's not the only one. Like, he's not the only superhero. Because shortly after this is when they find out about the Hulk and stuff. And technically, timeline-wise, they already know about Captain America.
Because technically Captain America's older.
Yeah. So, he's like, you're not the only one. And then tells him a little bit about not really tells him, but tells him we have the Avengers Initiative. And then that's it.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yep. And then some music. We'll go into that. And then we'll go into some of the other little bits and pieces. So I can never say this guy's name. The guy who composed the music for Iron Man is Ramin Djawadi?
Jawadi, I'm thinking?
Djawadi?
I don't know.
Something like that. He is known for Game of Thrones, the TV show. He's a composer for that. Westworld, that's a TV show as well. He did the music for that.
Love Westworld.
And, oh my god, it's such a good show.
Totally.
Game of Thrones is such a good show, too. I love Game of Thrones. And then Pacific Rim from 2013. He composed the music for that as well. He has won a Primetime Emmy Award, so an Emmy. He won for Outstanding Music Composition for a Series, Original Dramatic Score for one of the pieces he did in Game of Thrones. So there are 3 Iron Man movies, like by title and name Iron Man movies. But there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies, 9 movies that Iron Man is in. Something like that. We're not gonna talk about all of them.
No. Gosh,
that's a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, we're going to talk about the Avengers soon, so.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Avengers a little bit in the next one, because we're going to do Infinity War. But Iron Man 2, that's a really good sequel. I did enjoy Iron Man 2 a lot. That's where we get the, is his name Whiplash? Is that his name?
Ugh.
The bad guy in that one with the little electrical tentacle thingies.
I always forget.
I can't remember his name. I think his name is Whiplash, but I'm probably wrong. But so the second one is basically the government doesn't want Tony to have the suit anymore because they feel like the suit is a threat because other countries are trying to build the suit and other people are trying to build a suit like it. And they're like, and Tony's like, well, I mean, all these people don't have, like, look how far off these people are from building this suit. Like, and then his competition, I guess, in, his business competition is able to build, something similar, but then he doesn't really build it. He gets the, Russian guy. I think his name is Whiplash. I'm just going to call him Whiplash.
Okay.
I haven't seen the second one in a while.
Yeah, me too.
So he hires Whiplash, and Whiplash is actually the one that helps him make the suits better. So his business partner, like, kind of tries to take over the world. You know?
Why not?
And then the third one, we get the Mandarin.
Yes. Played by Sir Ben Kingsley.
Yes. But the Mandarin isn't really who he says he is.
Yeah.
So, but we just kind of get the progression of Tony through this, and we get all kinds of different suits, and he's constantly upgrading his suits. And then he finally, I believe it's after the second one, he finally gets pulled into the Avengers. Because in the third one, he's kind of like post-traumatic stress after the events of the Avengers.
I mean, who wouldn't be?
Yeah. One cool thing, because I don't know if we'll talk about the second one, next superhero. I'll start trivia with this. In the second superhero, or the second Iron Man movie, when they're doing the big fair thing where, what's his name? Where Tony's business rival shows off his new suits and they go off and start attacking. That kid that's wearing the Iron Man mask, directors and Kevin Feige and all that of Marvel have confirmed that is Peter Parker.
Huh.
They didn't originally have him as Peter Parker, but so many people were like, oh my god, what if that was Peter Parker? And just freaking out and everything about it, that they just decided to just go ahead and, yeah, that's Peter Parker.
They're yeah, I'll just go with it.
Y'all can have it, whatever.
Just let him have it.
So yeah, that's my little tidbit of information for this one.
Cool. So, the script wasn't done when they started filming.
Oh my god.
So, most of the lines are ad-libbed.
Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense?
Yeah.
It totally does.
It does.
Let's see. Where's the other one select? The Iron Man suit has over 450 pieces.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That's just the Iron Man suit. This is the last film for special effects expert Stan Winston.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, aww. Poor Stan. Yeah. He was awesome. Great special effects guy. And also, our director is in the film, if you didn't know that.
I did not.
He's Happy Hogan.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. That's the director.
That's cool.
He tries to be in his films, little bit parts like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Makes sense?
Yeah.
And the Iron Man Mark I weighed about 90 pounds.
God.
Yeah. Oh, this is another one I thought that's interesting. This would have really changed everything, especially for X-Men. Hugh Jackman was offered the role of Tony Stark also.
Oh, man.
That would be really crazy, because we all know Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yeah. So, any more trivia?
I think that's about it. Those are the big interesting ones.
Okay. So, on to favorite line. I have one that I'm going to save for the very, that's my absolute favorite line.
Okay.
So, let's see. The bad guys won't even want to come out of their caves. When he's demonstrating that weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a man who has everything and nothing. Don't waste your life. The doctor says that before he dies. How was the fun, V? I don't have anyone but you. Pepper and Tony both say that to each other. Who do you think locked you out? Jarvis, sir, it appears his suit can fly. You think?
Classic.
Alright, two more. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Classic.
And then my absolute favorite of this movie. I do anything and everything Mr. Stark requires, including occasionally taking out the trash. Is that all?
I love that line. You stole it from me.
I'm sorry.
You just steal all my line.
I do. You shouldn't let me go first.
That's true. It's like you have your shit more together than I do most of the time.
That's because I write the lines down as they come across, because if I don't, then I'm gonna forget.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. But sometimes I'm like, oh, that one I like even better. So, it's like, this one. I'll just say this one. This is Obadiah.
Okay.
It says, for 30 years, I've been holding you up. I built this company up from nothing. Nothing's gonna stand in my way. Least of all, you.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Classic. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
I do like Pepper's line, though.
Do you want to go with that one?
I like it.
Okay.
Taking out the trash one.
I'll read it again. I do anything and everything Mr. Stark requires, including occasionally taking out the trash.
Yep. Like it.
Let me write that down.
I like that one.
I do too. That one, every time it comes up, it's so funny. Alright. So what is your rating?
I'm giving it a solid 8. Solid 8.
Hey, me too.
Yay, 8s! Again, this got me into the Marvel universe. Love Jeff Bridges. And like pretty much what I said before.
Yeah.
Like Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark.
I mean, there's a little bit of the CGI that now that this movie is like 10 years old, it doesn't quite hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still really good CGI for it being a 10-year-old movie, but there's some of it that just doesn't. And then, if you aren't paying attention for the whole thing, it can be a little bit, you can miss some stuff and it can be confusing.
Agreed.
But
Completely
other
agree.
than that,
That's how you have to be with Marvel movies, though. If you're not paying attention, you're going to get lost.
Well,
That's me.
I
I have to really focus with Marvel movies.
If I've seen them a few times, then I'm good. I don't really have to focus. But if it's the first time I'm watching them, or at least like the first 2-3 times I'm watching them, I really have to pay attention.
Same.
So I think that's all we've got for this one.
Yeah, got our last one coming up.
Yep, so our next one, we're going to stick with the Marvel Universe here, and we're going to go to Avengers Infinity War.
Yes.
Which I think it's pretty great timing that we're hitting this one, seeing as how Endgame comes out pretty soon. So
It does. A couple months.
Yep. So we will see you for Infinity War in just a few minutes. Bye.
Bye.